The disc jockeys of the state of Iowa, home state of the great Glenn Miller, present a salute to Glenn Miller.
That familiar theme introduces to our coast-to-coast mutual radio audience a salute to Glenn Miller, written and produced by Ray Starr. This is Glenn Miller Week in the state of Iowa, and tonight we present the story of how this week and the great Glenn Miller Day was conceived. This is Dale Randall in Waterloo, Iowa, and this is where the story began. The story that came to a climax yesterday with Glenn Miller Day in his hometown of Clarinda, Iowa. From all over the nation, the entertainment business took time to send good wishes to Clarinda, the birthplace of Glenn Miller. Wishes like this one from the coast.
This is Rock Hudson in Hollywood. I wish I could be with you in Clarinda to help celebrate Glenn Miller Day. Glenn Miller's music has always been a favorite of mine, as I'm sure it is with millions of other Americans. I would like to pay my respects and congratulate the people of Clarinda, Iowa on this great tribute to Glenn Miller, who gave so much to the world of music.
So let's turn the clock back 24 hours and transcribe the happenings as we take you to the birthplace of Glenn Miller, Clarinda, Iowa.
Thank you, Dale Randall. This is Bill Gamar of KFNS Mutual in Shenandoah, Iowa, speaking from the stage of the Clarinda Theater in the hometown of Glenn Miller. We hope all of you out along our mutual network will join us in welcoming to Southwest Iowa the gentleman who started the revival of Glenn Miller's music and who, in a large part, is responsible for Glenn Miller Week and the great event here in Clarinda. I'd like to present one of the top disc jockeys in America and the chairman of the Salute to Glenn Miller Committee, Ray Starr. We had a lot of ideas concerning Glenn Miller Day in Clarinda, Iowa. We had one idea of getting so many people here together that had honored Glenn during his lifetime. When we put this idea before the committee, Des Moines, Iowa disc jockey Al Rockwell suggested that we have Mr. Jack Mossbarger, the man who was responsible for Glenn receiving his first trombone here for the broadcast and the celebration. We thought this was a great idea. We asked Rocky just what he'd ask Mr. Mossbarger. Rocky said the first thing he'd ask him was,
well, it seems to me, Ray, that this was a sort of critical time with regard to the career of Glenn Miller, the acquisition of his first trombone, and Jack Mossbarger, just exactly how did it happen? As I recall, what little you and I have discussed this, Glenn had moved from Nebraska to Grant City, Missouri.
That's right.
And how exactly did you come in contact with Glenn?
Glenn was going to school in Grant City.
How old a boy was he at the
He was
time?
about 12 years old at that time, wearing knee pants. And I had a shoe shine chair in my cleaning and pressing parlor. Nobody to run it. And Glenn got fooling around the shop there, and I told him one day that if he would shine the shoes, I would furnish everything and give him everything he made. Well, he became interested right away in the matter and took up the job of shining shoes. But he had not been there very long, as I was leader of the band at that time.
How big a band was it in Grant City at the time, Jack?
35 pieces.
What'd you play? Concerts like is customary in county seat towns?
We played Saturday night concerts. We played in St. Joseph. We played in Albany and about every place else in that neck of the woods.
Mm-hmm.
And I came in there one evening, and Glenn was in the back room, and he had a broomstick about that long.
How long is that? About 3
About
foot?
that long,
About 3
about
foot?
3 foot long, and he was standing there running the thing up and down like that. I said, Glenn, what on earth are you doing? He said, Jack, I'm ashamed to tell you, but I'm playing a trombone. Well, he kept going to band practice with me all the time and got terribly interested in it, so I ordered him a trombone, and he didn't know anything about it. So the gold bell, gold trim trombone.
How much money would you say, all told, you invested in this machine?
$85.
I'd say he capitalized on that $85 to some extent in his career. We all knew we had a trombone player all over the United States eventually, Jack. Thank you much.
In looking back on the career of Glenn Miller and his great service as the major in the U.S. Army Air Force, we have a representative with us we talked over many times of just who we would invite. We thought someone from the Strategic Air Command. So, for our Salute to Glenn Miller show, we thought that Colonel Andrew Lowe would be the man to give the greetings from Strategic Air Command.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I have been asked by General May, the commander of the Strategic Air Command at Offutt Air Force Base at Omaha, to come here this evening and to give you the best wishes of the Strategic Air Command as the picture, the Glenn Miller story, opens, starring James Stewart. Thank you.
We invited all of the disc jockeys of the state of Iowa to be with us in Clarinda as a salute to Glenn Miller. I had a little trouble getting to some of them. When I called Cherokee for Ross Hickman, they told me he was on the air. So I thought I'd wait until he introduced the record that was on the turntable right then.
Well, thank you, Ray. I hope you hold the phone for a moment because I have the pleasure of introducing a very great number released in the Decca album by Decca, of course. And, of course, it's the one of the records from Glenn Miller's story. And it features a great number that was made very famous by him, none other than Tuxedo Junction.
We had heard from Des Moines by this time that the National Guard would let us dedicate the Armory in Clarinda, Iowa, and name it the Glenn Miller Armory. One of the gentlemen so responsible in giving us that confirmation was General Fred C. Tandy.
We of the National Guard are particularly happy to have the Armory, which we are so proud of here in Clarinda, dedicated to Glenn Miller. We think it is just and fitting, and we appreciate everything everyone has done, and in particular the city of Clarinda.
We contacted next the mayor of Clarinda, the Honorable R.L. Criswell, about a part in our celebration. We suggested that Mr. Criswell introduce our governor, William S. Beardsley. The mayor said he'd be happy to.
We are honored by the presence of the governor of the state of Iowa, the Honorable William S. Beardsley, who is here to help us extend a real Iowa welcome to these, our honored guests. Pay tribute to the famous Iowan, the late Glenn Miller. It gives me great pleasure at this time to introduce to you the governor of Iowa, the Honorable William S. Beardsley.
Thank you, Mayor Criswell, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This has been a gala day in the fair city of Clarinda, and as governor of Iowa, I'm happy to join with everyone in observing Glenn Miller Day in the outstanding way it has been observed here. It's thrilling indeed to come to the community which could give such a great leader, not only to the entertainment field, but as one of the premier artists of all time in band music. And it has been thrilling today to meet his gracious, lovely mother, the people who have given him inspiration as a youth and throughout the years, and also to meet that outstanding star of the living screen, Jimmy Stewart, who has cast the leading role in this outstanding play. It's the old story over again of a great American in a great community, in a great state, success, achievement, honor, and glory. And I know we're all going to enjoy this premiere thoroughly and to our full anticipation. Thank you very kindly.
Well, the ball was now rolling. Universal International told us that the fresh preview of the Glenn Miller story starring James Stewart and June Allison could be held in Clarinda. So, the Glenn Miller music started rolling on the turntables of Iowa disc jockeys, as you will note by eavesdropping on Cedar Rapids disc jockey Sandy Singer.
Well, here we are from KCRI, and it's 2 o'clock, and it's our special feature today. We're very proud and very happy to present to you, for the next half hour, the wonderful music from the new Glenn Miller story, the wonderful Universal International Motion Picture. The music has just been released from the soundtrack of the film. It's done on the Decca label. Let's put the label to the first groove here. It's one of Glenn's most, well, probably most requested tunes, Little Brown Jug.